Here we are again. Welcome back to our channel on practical spirituality and on how to become a compassionate warrior who stands up for truth and justice, love and self-empowerment. Today we are going to pick up on journal entry number 36. If you haven't read or listened to some of the other ones, you can go back and find them on this YouTube channel. Here we are jumping right into it, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe, share this, join us in our Patreon room. You can find out how to do that on our website on the donation page, and we'll keep continuing to put forward these thoughts, ideas, and notions about life, the abundant life. Journal entry 36. A beautiful sunny day. I had dreams last night that were disjunctured and hard to understand. They were such a mess I won't even try. The only result was me waking up feeling confused. I think that in one I dreamed of a goddess as a man. This is not surprising to me, since from the goddess I have heard that when one reaches a certain level of existence, there is no gender. There is just essence. And I have heard that the essence reveals itself in ways that correspond to our socialization on Earth. Since we split things in two, with male and female, that is how they come to us. When I was younger, I used to think of God as a male. Later, I thought of Goddess as a female. At the same time, however, the God that I thought of as male said he wasn't male, and the Goddess that I thought of as female said she wasn't female. They were both and neither. Both and neither. Something we human beings can't seem to comprehend, because on this earth we have been presented with either or in nature, or have internalized that everything is either or to the extent that we see nothing outside of that scope of perception. I am well aware that Goddess is not female. It does not help to see her that way for me, anyway. I think what is important is to realize that it helps to see her that way, but that she is not necessarily that way. In fact, I really don't think she is human at all. She constantly tells me that. As long as I am in this body, with my perceptions as a reference point, it is important for her to seem human as a point of contact. I will proceed, therefore, knowing that what I am seeing is not necessarily what she is. If other people, especially those with more fundamentalist natures, could realize this is the case with what they are holding in their minds as deities or even lack of deities, perhaps this world would be a safer place, and our nations would not be so plagued with pain, suffering, and violence. As I speak of those with more fundamentalist natures, I am not only speaking of those claiming some type of religion, because the ones who claim no religion are often more fundamentalist in their worldview than the former. The truth is that their very act of claiming that nothing exists shows that they are more in love with their belief system than most religious people. Their assertion makes them a minority and flies in the face of the many human beings who went before them for thousands and possibly millions of years. In order to cling on to that truth with thousands of messages every day saying it is incorrect takes a great deal of fundamentalism. In this case, of course, the God is replaced with either their culture or their worldview, and the religion is whatever rituals they carry out daily to reinforce that worldview. Their worldview is seen as pure reality, with everyone else is understood as some contorted understanding of reality. Whether a god, a goddess, a worldview is all the same thing, because whatever they are thinking about isn't the actual thing. It is their image of the actual thing. This is what the dream awakened in me last night. A lesson learned. Journal entry 37. I stood in front of a large window and looked out over a beautiful landscape of grass, trees, sculptured gardens, and a very large lake as big as one of the Great Lakes. My guide was there and asked me to come with her. We began to walk towards the lake. It was a long way. We seemed to be getting there a bit faster than I thought possible. She told me that was because this was a place beyond time where one arrived at a place whenever they wanted. It didn't take time. I was trying to create time where we were, and I was only partially successful. We arrived at the large ocean like lake. She said that it, in reality, was one of the large oceans on another planet. As we got closer and began to walk into the ocean, suddenly a very wide blue column appeared. It looked like a thick blue wall. I examined it. As I looked up, it seemed to reach into the sky so high I couldn't see the top. She explained that it was the ocean. We had crossed from one dimension to the next. Our vibration was so different that what seemed like air was actually earth. We had sunk down into what would have been the earth, all the way to the bottom of what was the ocean. She reached through the thin barrier and poured her hand back, soaking wet. I did the same. She said that there are certain beings who have the power to make vibrational shifts so they can exist in parallel universes that we are not even aware of because of our limited senses and because of the vibratory plane on which we live. Changing from one timeline or dimension to the next is not about going to another place. It is broadening our perception to pick up what is around us because, in actuality, we all exist in every place at the same time. We stayed there for quite some time as I marveled at the water and considered the fact that some more advanced beings could shift through these dimensions at will. Afterward, we seemed to appear back on the shore, looking out over the ocean and the beautiful scene, and then climbed back up the hill. I realized that there wasn't a way for my physical body to make a shift to a reality like this one to an extent, which just brought up many more questions. Journal entry number 38. Nothing much to write about. Most of the night I was clearing with Ho'oponopono. I had strange dreams about people visiting me and questioning me who I didn't know. I think most of these dreams came from the day talking with assholes on Facebook. Most of the dreams were about exclusion because of racism or ignorance and withdrawing into myself to explore my spirituality and my understanding of the world because of it. I am working with a balance, I think. How much does one work to do healing in the world? How much does one tolerate when it comes to people who don't deserve it? When is it acceptable and intelligent not to forgive? And that is correct, I said, not to forgive. Journal entry 39. I thought there wasn't much to report on last night, but there must have been. Apparently, I got some type of demonic entity or something visiting me who invaded my private space and actually removed my glasses in order to hinder me from writing in this journal and doing the work I have been engaged in to help free people from the influences of the deceptive practices being applied by government and state during these troubling times. As you can see, it is not working. It is causing difficulty. If one wanted to hinder me without harming me, this would have been the best course of action to take. Even though this may sound crazy, I still haven't found my glasses. Luckily, I had an old pair I didn't even remember having, tucked away in the back of my drawer. During this pandemic, most of the labs at the glasses stores are closed, so one has to wait for weeks in order to get a prescription ground. What I have found through various experiences is that the madness taking place today is not anyone's mistake. It is by design and also demonic. It is ironic since I have been exploring the possibility of jumping from one dimension to the next. Perhaps the perpetuator of this crime, whoever it may be, has that gift and talent, or is aligned with darker or more evil beings who have that ability. Many of the people calling themselves leaders today dabble in the occult, especially focusing on black magic. They are so demonic, they go so far through their wars, the sales of guns, drugs, and actual acts of murder, engage in sacrifices to the dark, bloodthirsty demons of the underworld, or at least the old gods. It is said that the Europeans once had a god named Teal. Teal was the god of war, and those who were defeated in the act of war were, in a sense, sacrificed to this god. According to many historians, the reasons the Europeans latched onto the idea of the God of Israel as a God of war was because they had such a God. So in reality, we are not only fighting a physical, political war, we are fighting a war against the demonic. We are fighting a war that took place long ago that continues to recycle itself on this earth and throughout the universe. The myth about the war that took place in heaven between Michael and his angels and Satan is reenacted over and over and over again during various times in various places until it comes to a final end. We human beings find ourselves existing in a physical realm in order to reenact that war and to do it the right way and come to the right terms to create a world of peace and justice against all odds. That's what we are doing in this dance. It is as if the universal mind is remembering and reenacting the same circumstances over and over to see if anything will change. So this earth has been created to resemble the mythic heaven on a physical plane. The battle for the power in the universe are being fought out here. The problem is the outcome continues to be the same, and then it is all rewound again to start over with different characters or those who have forgotten. There are many dances. We have many lives. We exist in many lives and places. But it's particular to this one. In other words, the theme is the story of the fall of the angels and the struggle to recapture paradise. We are essentially at war on a warring planet. We will finish with journal number 40 to learn more about us and our sanity and the craziness of all of this. Visit our website. You will see a link down below. Journal entry 40. I did a bit of meditation and a bit of cleaning last night before going to bed, but I didn't do my usual chanting ritual. I'm still upset that I had a pair of glasses that disappeared when the fact that they did was impossible. Luckily, I found an old pair that worked fine. I am still dismayed that after doing a long ritual to stay clear and free of negative influences, a major negative influence that would have been a disaster had I not found an old pair of glasses occurred. The strange thing about this is that I often seem to have incidents occurring when I'm speaking with people on Facebook and run into white supremacists. My guess is that some of them, the ones who are organized and who pose as friends in order to connect with you on social media, are actually practitioners of some type of evil. To be truthful, such people with their life based on hatred and the destructions of others are practicing evil, whether they do magic in order to perpetuate their hatred or not. As time passes, I am more convinced that there are many people practicing the older forms of the occult for evil. I am also starting to believe that many of the people behind the scenes who are really in charge of this world have access to evil ways to manipulate society and the world through the actual shifting and changing of the physical world and attacks on their enemies using some type of methodology that we don't understand. And so my aim has slightly changed to not only understand the way the universe works, but to teaching oppressed people how to defend themselves spiritually and physically from these old families and their insider followers who are using various methods of science and the arts that have been obtained in the far past by their ancestors in payment for betraying the health and welfare of humanity for their own sakes. There are certain bloodlines in the world working behind the scenes to maintain control and to cause pain and suffering. They feed off of the stuff. Part of any social justice struggle or healing also has to include spirituality. Material science isn't enough. False religion and material science was created to narrow our perspective and to pull us away from union with the divine, not to create it. We must learn to free ourselves. It is my goal to teach people how to do so and to end the power of oppression for once and for all. And that is the ending of the reading for today. That is The Seeker's Journal by Om Prakash Gilmore, A Spiritual Journey. And you can get a copy of this book at Amazon.com. Until later, namaste, everyone.